What's going on, everybody? It's hate week, man. Monday, hate week. Hate week. I hate FSU week. Bring the pain, bring the ruckus, bring the noise, bring the violence. I want that violence. That swarm. I want it all. Saturday night, 7:30, Doak Campbell Stadium. I want it all. But we're going to check out this video today, the interview press conference with Mario Cristobal. I have not actually seen it yet. I saw one clip, one singular clip. And now I'm going to watch this press conference with y'all, give my comments, maybe stop it a couple times just to say a few things, or maybe I'll let it roll right through and then give my feedback at the end. But we're going to watch this thing together because there's one particular clip that I heard about that didn't make me feel that great, just being real. But let's hear what Mario Cristobal had to say coming in to Hate Week. Bring the noise, bring the ruckus, bring the pain. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showman. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, leave a comment, let me know y'all thoughts. Tonight, we had our first edition live, Hurricanes Unfiltered live, and I did it with John from Cafecito con Canes. Bro, it was a great time. We appreciate everyone who jumped on board, everyone who learned about my channel. I appreciate y'all. And for those that learned about John's channel, please make sure you're subscribed. I did link it in the bio of description of that video. So be sure you follow him on social media, follow him on subscribe to his channel. And I appreciate y'all continue support as we build this podcast up. As you know, every Monday night, 9 p.m., we're gonna be rocking Hurricanes Unfiltered, and having a good old time. So let's look at the video here with Mario Cristobal, and let's jump right on in. No time like the present. Let me find the video. I just had it here, right here. Let's go.
Here, really good bye week. A lot of everything, right? Self-scout, healing up, strength and conditioning, competitive reps. A lot of young guys getting reps, as well as our older guys staying sharp and getting more sharp. Recruiting, getting ahead on the opponent, everything, and then some. Certainly, getting ready for a very talented, physical, and well-coached Florida State team that's playing at a high level. Statistically in the top 10 in just about every meaningful category. But that being said, questions, please.
Mario, you've talked so much over the last couple of years about focusing on the task at hand, being in the moment. When you're in a rivalry like this, we know what it means for the program, we know what it means, and how people get just how have you been able to strike that balance of keeping everyone focused, keeping everyone level-headed, but also knowing that there's going to be a lot of that, just a lot of hype, a lot of just around it, outside and internally.
Yes, sir. I think the best way always is with honesty and transparency. It's always worked well for us. And it's all about the work anyways. There's not a single bit of noise, hype, not a single member of the audience on TV or in the stadium that's going to be able to make a play one way or the other. It'll be determined by those that are on the field, playing and coaching. So I think that's something that our guys digest really, really well and understand well. And so we're focused on making sure that we could do our job to the best of our ability.
They're playing two different systems year over year on each side of the ball. How have those systems elevated their play?
Yeah, they certainly have done a great job enhancing themselves on both sides of the ball. Very unique systems that are very challenging, right? From the use of personnel to the tempo to a lot of the they disguise and hide the ball really well. It's hard to find. And there's so many plays that come out of these distinct formations while making it challenging with both pace, with physicality, and with execution. On defense, they've done a great job just becoming a very physical and aggressive defense with multiple looks on the back end and playing very strong and physical football up front.
Let me jump in right now. He mentioned the way of hiding the ball. I think that's something that's you're going to see on offense because Castellanos is not a big guy. He's 5'10". He's going to hide the ball, run pass options, and he's good at hiding the ball. So I think that is definitely something that you're going to have to watch out for. It is something that I think that Miami has to have a linebacker spy on him the entire game. You can't mess around with that kid. That guy, I mean, why I call him a mediocre quarterback, I think as a quarterback, he's mediocre. His legs are not mediocre. He can run and he can scoot with that ball. And if he gets going running the ball, it makes his passing game actually more effective. It's not like his passing game makes his running game effective. His running makes his passing effective. So you stop the run, you stop him from running and escaping the pocket and breaking contain, you've done your job because he won't be able to throw the ball. Let's jump back in.
Mario, the last 2 weeks, first with USF and then with Florida 2 weeks ago. I think I mentioned it on the radio, but with teams trying to simulate, cadences and snaps. And how have you guys worked on trying to make sure that teams aren't going to be able to take advantage of that going forward?
Certainly, it's something you look around college football, right, week in and week out, something that you want to eliminate. You want to eliminate pre-snap penalties and make sure your communication is on point. I mean, football is football. The trenches get nasty and crazy in there, and everyone's always looking to get an advantage, and you got to deal with whatever comes, right? And so you got to make your communication processes that much more airtight as it relates to getting interfered with and causing you to jump. So we've been working on that. If we see anything that's causing that on the other side that's illegal, we turn it in, but we don't, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of our stuff and not get caught up in all the other nonsense.
What's it been like watching Mark Fletcher's progression from when he got here two plus years ago to where he's now? What strides specifically this year have you seen him make the biggest growth?
Sure, I think everything. I mean, his approach to the game has always been strong, professional. The physicality that he runs with is a byproduct of what he is naturally gifted at, being a great running back, but also the fact that he's been healthy and he's been able to train and really work at it. And he has the benefit of running in a scheme and behind some really hard-working, tough offensive linemen and tight ends. So he's you love seeing the part of him from a leadership standpoint that has really come out. A vocal guy, a always present guy, an uplifting guy, someone who, I mean, you want your own son to grow up to be like him. He's awesome, proud of him, and he'll tell you himself that he's got a lot of improvement to make, and his best football is ahead of him.
Mario, this rivalry has some deep history. You were part of the 91-92 wide right. Are you surprised that people still bring that up when we talk about the Canes and Knowles?
I mean, we always knew this as the best rivalry in football coming up. I mean, as a player, that's, was always a reason why players chose to go to one of the two respective schools. I mean, college football is the best sport in the world. So the fact that people bring up, historical moments and whatnot, it's not surprising. I do think that our players, alumni bases, fans, they all understand how intense this rivalry is. But I think our players, more importantly, understand the importance of practice and preparation. And that's what our focus is on right now.
Maintaining the edge during a bye week, the edge of your team. What's your approach to that? Do you like an intense bye week, or just in general, what's your approach?
A combination, because as much as we love to practice and prepare, part of preparation for the rest of the season is to get certain guys healed up. And, you still provide them with competitive reps so that they can stay sharp. You still have to have good on good. You still have to have your 2-minute drills, your block destruction, your inside runs and whatnot. But you also want to take some of that contact load off some of your players, especially ones that have logged up, multiple reps. And at the same time, you want to continue pushing and developing some of the guys that are right there, in so many different parts of our football team, offense, defense, and special teams, and putting them in situations where you're just calling football and playing football and letting them go out there and play. You gain yourself, almost 100+ reps with those guys. So that was a positive for us this past week, and we do feel that our depth is improving, competitive depth, and that we look forward to seeing some more of these guys, seeing more playing time.
All right, with FSU's running game, they've graded out really well. They're doing pretty well to start the year. Obviously, they have a good running back room. Their quarterback can make plays in the running game. Just what have you seen from them on film, and what have been some of their biggest strengths so far in that aspect?
It starts with their offensive line. They're a big physical bunch, real heavy-handed. They're light on their feet. They mix up the tempos. They mix up their formations. They're very versatile. They run it all: power, counter, inside zone, wide zone, toss, everything. The quarterback's a really good runner as well. He's really good at everything that he does. But I think it starts and ends with physicality. They get downhill, they finish runs, they run their feet through contact, and I believe they're number one in total offense, and not by a little, by a lot. And a large part of that's because they run the ball really well.
All right, we can pump the brakes for a second right here. I just wanted to put my whole face on camera. That's being nice. That's the nice commentary right there, because the reality is this: their running game is based on Tommy Castellanos. End of story. Their running game starts and ends with Castellanos. If Castellanos can't run the ball, they're not going to be able to run the ball. He sets up the run. His skill sets up the run. His ability to run sets up the running game. That's my opinion, of course. It's my opinion. Their offensive line is good. They ran the ball well against Virginia. Let's not act like they didn't play Kent State and East Texas A&M. Their offense is way ahead of everybody because they played two duck, goose opponents, and they scored 66 and 77 points. So those numbers aren't really real. Against Virginia, what were their final numbers against Virginia? Let me pull it up real fast before we continue the video. Against Virginia, they accounted for 514 yards. That's a lot of yards, certainly. Castellanos was their leading rusher. He had 78 yards rushing. He was their leading rusher. Yeah, Gavin Sawchuk and Usman Kroma had good games. But if you go look at the game before that, when they played Bama, you can go look at the Bama game. They only had 382 yards. It wasn't like they busted 500 yards. And again, Castellanos was their leading rusher. He was their leading rusher. So he rushes the ball, then they rush the ball. Even in that game, you got 56 yards out of Mekhi Danzig. He's a wide receiver. He's not a running back. Their running backs only had like 60, 70 yards rushing combined. So it's Castellanos first and everyone else is second. If you look at those other games that they had where they played against East Texas A&M, that's where their numbers just got completely inflated. So yeah, their numbers or whatever, dude, they had, against East Texas A&M, they had 729 yards. They rushed for 361 and passed for 368. That wasn't competition. That was a joke. Kent State, again, 775 yards, 498 yards rushing. Well, that was not a real opponent. So I'm not gonna jump on some gravy train that their line is so great, because we just saw last week they lost. They lost. So to me, that's more niceties from Mario. You got to keep. I got to tell you, he looks mad focused in this interview, in this press conference. He looks crazy focused. But I think that you want to puff them up, make them feel good about themselves. Don't give them bulletin board material. That's fine. But you stop Tommy Castellanos running the ball, you stop their running attack. Let's continue.
And similarly, you guys have been excellent rushing the quarterback so far this year. Castellanos can make things happen with his feet. How much have you guys been putting plan to put extra emphasis on, taking care of those rushing lanes, making sure that if you do flush him out of the pocket, that he's not going to be able to take off and run for 20 yards?
Yeah, really good football player, makes a lot of things happen. Everybody has to do their job really well.
You touched on with them being top offense. You guys are one of the top teams in terms of time possession. Just the importance of being able to sustaining drives, keeping the ball in your hands to make sure that you're limiting their opportunity. Just the importance of that going into this weekend.
Execution's at a premium, right? Games like this, one thing that really stands out across the country. I might be a little bit off, but I believe that there were over 20 games that were one-possession games this weekend. And several of them were overtime games as well. That's because conference play has started, and conference play is basically playoff football. Everybody's alive, everybody's vying for a spot, and so the margins for error, the margins between winning and not winning become smaller and smaller. So every part of your preparation and leading up to execution, the details that come with that, they have to be practice, reps, emphasized, re-emphasized, made airtight as much as humanly possible to give you the best chance for success, because the levels just get more and more difficult. And I think that's the best part of college football at this time of year. You know, you're getting everybody's best and you're giving everybody your best.
You can't duplicate what you're about to experience. So if your freshmen are going to experience tonight when they walk in the door, Campbell, and what you see. How do you get a freshman like Bryce Fitzgerald or Malachi to lock in that moment once they actually see it?
Everything we do when we're playing an opponent, we make sure that we give it the absolute best look on Green Tree practice field. And Green Tree, it is our responsibility to make sure that Green Tree simulates or exceeds anywhere we play.
Mario, just your tight ends, just your thoughts on, obviously Carson's been trying to get the ball a couple times the last few games. Just your thoughts on how they've been doing collectively between that and just in their jobs blocking.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Just your tight ends, just your overall thoughts on how they've done through the 4 games. I know they haven't been involved much in the passing game yet, but just your thoughts on what they've been able to do. Obviously, the multiple.
Sure, yes, sir. They've been a major part of the game plan. Some people have done a good job taking them away. They know we have good playmakers there. They've made, for the most part, you know, what they can out of their opportunities, but they've been instrumental in not only the passing game, but obviously in the running game, you know, and they've been really good on the perimeter as well, on special teams. They're as valuable as any other position on our roster.
And I know, you guys have a lot of faith in Carson Beck, and we expect a lot out of him and his mentality. This was just the first time after having a rough game. How did you see him bounce back after that? How did he get back to work and try to fix any mistakes he was making last game?
Like we do any game, every single time we go back in there, good or bad, we assess what we did well, what we need to get better at, and we attack it directly with honesty and with transparency, and do our best to coach them to the best level of their ability and challenge them to get the most out of them.
And then I know Samson got a little banged up against Florida, but came back into the game. Just how has he recovered from whatever that was?
One more time
with Samson.
Okay.
He went out, came back in during the Florida game, but just how did he recover from whatever minor thing I guess was bugging him?
He did well. You know, he got banged up in that game pretty good. Had a great week of just resting, rehabbing, and looks really good. So we expect him to play well.
Can we have an update on Jordan Lyle, JoJo, and Riri? The status?
They're all doing well. Same status. They will play at some point in time.
That particular statement was the statement that I had heard, and that statement alarms me because we're literally in no different situation than we were 2 weeks ago. We've heard the same thing now for close to a month. Lyle is a guy that they really miss because he has great speed out of the backfield. You know, you have that thunder and lightning type of thing with the running backs, but really what you have right now is thunder and thunder. Fletcher and Marty Brown are thunderbacks. They hard runners. They power through the line. Marty Brown has broken some runs, but neither of those guys has that explosive speed that Jordan Lyle has out of the backfield. So that is one area that does concern me because you're looking for that big burst back who can bust it 50, 60 yards, but not having to break through tackles to do it, but just because his speed is so ridiculous. And that one concerns me. The JoJo Trader deal, I've heard some things. I'm not going to talk about him here, but there are concerns with this situation now because now it seems like there's some other stuff going on that we might not be aware, that people are not aware of. I'm not aware of anything with Jordan Lyle. I've heard some things with JoJo Trader. And, you know, I presume at this point that they're true. But again, a receiver that we really could use to go over the top. I mean, this was supposed to be his year to perform, and we're missing out on it. So that's a little disappointing. And that response is very, very cryptic. They'll play when they're ready to play. I mean, last week they were in full uniform. They were dressed. The 2 weeks before, JoJo Trader wasn't even at the game. So now they're in full uniform. Last week they don't play, or against Florida they don't play, and now you're gonna go to Florida State, and we'll see what happens. But I think there's more coming out about their situation at some point because this is just that specifically is a little bit cryptic. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, what you think. But it's a couple more minutes left in this video, and I'm gonna play the rest of it for you.
You mentioned, I think last week on the radio, a lot of Oakland maybe doesn't get enough credit for how he's performing. What areas have you seen his growth this year?
I would say his ability to make an impact at the line of scrimmage in the run game, hold his gap better, use of hands, pad level, feet in the ground, ability to take on double teams has certainly improved a bunch. His ability to create pass rush inside, really collapse the pocket, has improved. Versatility, have played him at the nose, at the 3 technique, the 2 technique, the 2-eye, the 4-eye. He's done a little bit of everything. And his approach to the game has certainly improved. He's at a body weight where he is the leanest he has been, about 300, 305. And so his conditioning levels have improved a bunch, thus playing more plays. There's a lot of improvement and growth in him. And it's been fun. It's been fun watching him grow, and it's been fun challenging him and seeing the response.
Anything else for Coach Cristobal?
I want to ask you about just for an offensive line, the challenge of facing a 3-3-5. What type of challenge is that pose? Is that different type of front?
Sure. Communication, identification, right? Certainly, everything starts with understanding who you're blocking and how you're blocking them. So I think anytime you, especially when you go on the road, right, you have to be on the same page. So, they do go back and forth. They're very even in the amount of times they spend in a 4-down front as well as the odd front. The way they use their safeties, they're very active. They're very downhill players. They're excellent tacklers, and they're complemented by some really good cover guys as well. So that's the challenge, is making sure that you have a plan for everything that they've shown this year, plus everything that they've shown in years past at their respective schools.
Anything else?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
So that'll do it from Mario Cristobal. I think the last question, I think that was from David Lake, my boy from inside the U. 3-3-5. I got to tell you this. They run a 3-3-5. Miami's going to run the ball for 300 yards. Like, we just saw Virginia run the ball down their throats. And Miami's offensive line is better than Virginia's. And is bigger, stronger, faster. They run a 3-3-5. Miami's going to run the ball down their throats easily. And I'll tell you this. The DBs he talked about who are good tacklers, who play downhill, they combined for 3 DBs combined for over 30 tackles. They were the 3 leading tacklers of the for the game last week against Virginia. And that's not good. That is not a good thing for Florida State. If their leading tacklers are their safeties and DBs, that means Miami is beating the tar out of them. So I expect that 3-3-5 to be adjusted at some point. I expect FSU to move 8 into the box. I expect FSU to crowd the line and dare at some point, as Miami's gashing them, to throw the ball, to throw it down the field. And Miami's going to have to do that. Watching Cristobal in this interview, you can see this guy is incredibly focused right now. He looks zoned. He looks like he's in the zone right now. And that's good because the team needs to be in a zone going to Tallahassee on Saturday night. They have got to be in a zone because you have to have incredible focus. You're going to hostile territory. You have a lot of young guys. You have a lot of young guys who are players on this team. I mean, Bryce Fitzgerald, Malachi Tony. You got young dudes who are players on this team. Now, I will say this. You have Carson Beck. And Carson Beck has been through it all. He's been through it all. So that should be something that has Canes fans feeling good. Obviously, the way they played, you should feel good. But when you consider the fact that Carson Beck has played at Auburn, at Tennessee, at Georgia Tech, played Alabama neutral field, played FSU in a bowl game, down here in Miami, if you remember that. Played Ole Miss. I mean, this guy has played everybody. He's gone through the gauntlet. In 24, I was in 23. In 24, at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss. Played Tennessee again. I mean, again, a neutral field game against Texas. He beat Texas twice. Well, he beat him the first time. The second time they got hurt, I know in that game. But he's played in all these games, neutral field game with blowing out Clemson. Nothing is going to face Carson Beck. So I think that's something that Miami fans have to be really feeling good about is that, look, Miami's got a great team this year. We all know it. I think we know it. But when you have a leader who's been to through these situations, all those guys on that team are going to look to him and he's going to lead them. But I thought that interview was great. I do have concerns about the JoJo Trader, Jordan Lyle thing, but we'll see what happens. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. Remember, we're bringing violence this weekend, bro. Let's bring it. And that's all I got. Hit that like button again. Leave a comment. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.